everybody, welcome to Biz Of Show Live. My name is Levi Walker.
And I'm Candice Donehoo.
And we are here to go back and talk to all the people we've worked with over the past 25 years of this show business and basically pick their brain and find out, how they survived show business and how they also created their own lanes. And today's interview is a really fantastic one. It's really cool. It's with a client of mine named Justin Bryant, and he came to me, I guess, a year and a half ago and said, hey, I need new pictures. I'm going to quit one of the biggest shows in Las Vegas, and I'm just going to go be on Broadway. And I was like, what? And so, anyway, his dream came true, and he ended up booking
Hamilton. So we have an exclusive backstage interview where you're going to learn some secrets.
I know, it's been kind of a fun day. We've been here in Vancouver, and we've been just doing a lot of interviews in one day, kind of laying out our plan for social media for the next couple of weeks and all these interviews for you guys. And it was kind of fun because we did an interview with Elizabeth Welch, who was backstage at Phantom of the Opera. And then it was kind of like we ran up the street and went over to the Richard Rodgers and interviewed Justin Bryant backstage at Hamilton, which is pretty freaking awesome. So we're really excited to show you this interview. But before we go, we wanted to tell you about our Facebook group. It's called Biz Of Show, just like the talk show. And in this group, we have compiled mentors. We have a lot of information we're funneling out from us and all the people that we've worked with over the years to basically, if you're a young performer, or if you're just moved to New York or LA, or if you're dreaming about being a performer on Broadway or in film, TV, commercials, this is a group where you're going to be able to learn from people who've already been there and already done that. And we're really excited for you to join us in Biz Of Show. So if you like the talk show and you're having some fun, please head over to Facebook, facebook.com. We'll put the link somewhere around in here. You'll be able to find it and join our Facebook group. But in the meantime, let's
start this interview. You're going to love it.
Hey everybody, welcome to Biz Of Show Live. This is Levi and
Candice.
And we were just backstage at Phantom of the Opera with the current Christine understudy, Elizabeth Welch. We had the most beautiful conversation. So if you haven't caught that, make sure you go back and find the episode where we were backstage at Phantom of the Opera. And now we have run down the streets and we are backstage at Hamilton the Musical.
Hello.
With Mr. Justin Bryant.
Hi, how are you?
We're doing awesome, Justin, and we are, Justin, I photographed Justin. As a matter of fact, we're on the Hamilton website right now, and your headshot that I took is on the Hamilton website. Honored!
That's so funny you said that because somebody asked me to sign a couple of pictures for my headshot, and I just happened to have them here, and you took these.
Oh, yes, you did.
Yeah, I did. Look at that body.
Yeah, you get that out, baby. You do that. Sign it and just own that. I'll sign it.
So I have to sign a few of these. Yes, I love it. So thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. We had such a great. You and I had such a great connection when we worked together, and I mean, I shoot a lot of people, and we end up like a lot of times they're clients, and they come in the door and they're like, "Great job, thank you very much, have a good day." Here are your pictures, and then you meet some people. We had fun, but you meet some people and you have like a little bit of a heart connection, and you connect on an artistic level, and that's how you affected me and when you came into my studio. So thank you so much for that.
And you're partly responsible for me being where I am today. Look at you.
How?
I mean, because you said you need this look, and people are like, yes, I want that guy in that look. That's the one I want.
That's right. That's right.
He's excellent at it, right?
He knows
the biz.
Well, it's all about branding, and that's one of the big things. We're about to release a course called Breakthrough Branding for Performers, and it is it's really honestly it's everything. Candice has been teaching voice for years. She's also diva singer. She's done a ton of stuff, so you can look her up. But she's lying in her face.
So I'll call you.
Yeah, I teach on Skype too, baby.
Oh, yes.
Listen. She teaches somatic voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she teaches you how to just say it in 20 seconds. Go.
So I pretty much balancing the voice, coordinating the registers, and really just working out the whole entire voice and getting. I do styles. I love love voice.
It's the instrument. She just had a surgery, and they like a couple months ago, and they had to like intubate her or something. And she said, "I need the child's tube, the small tube, because I'm a elite vocal athlete." So she will make you an elite vocal athlete.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to do some chatting later then, so we can.
That would be fabulous. Yes.
So let's jump into this. First of all, we're backstage in Hamilton. Is that Shirley MacLaine hanging on the wall back there?
Yes.
Oh, Shirley.
Who is it?
We have all the superstars here. Yes.
It surely is.
Is it really Shirley MacLaine?
Yes.
Get out of town. I was being funny. I thought I was like being comedy. That's hilarious.
No, she's here. One of the guys found it at an auction, at an artist auction. So he was like, "This is coming with me to Hamilton." So
I love it.
She watches over us as we're changing every day.
She's looking at all those naked gay boys.
I love it. Yes.
So
yes,
okay.
In Hamilton. Yes, you are.
And well, there's a little connection that we all have to acknowledge, is that we're all from Atlanta.
Yes.
And my brothers went to Pebblebrook High School. My grandmother lived. Yes, my grandparents lived 2 miles from Pebblebrook, and her parents live right near there. And
I'm from Austell, Georgia. I was Miss Cobb County.
Oh yeah, and we both met working at Six Flags in 1991.
When Six Flags was a real awesome, amazing, life-changing, altering, amazing thing
for performers.
Oh my gosh! So I went to Pebblebrook as well, and I performed at Miss Cobb County pageant many a time.
Oh, I'm sure you did, but not in my years. But not.
That's because you weren't born.
No, I'm pretty sure you were probably like in diapers when I was there.
You never know. You never know. What they say, black don't crack.
There is some of that.
Neither. White boy, I gotta have creams.
Like them,
and
love me some people of color. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
I
you,
love it.
Mama.
And so, well, let's talk about your journey. Let's jump into this. Let's talk about your journey. So, where did you, what happened after you graduated from high school? Like, what's your journey? What's your path? Tell us about that real quick in like 5 minutes.
Okay, so like we said, I went to Pebblebrook High School. I didn't know anything about anything. I just, I remember a girl at Griffin Middle School. She said, "Oh, I went to Griffin Middle School. That's where I went." So I was in chorus, and I had been in chorus for years since I was a kid. And I wasn't a great singer, but I liked the activity. And I was doing along with a bunch of other things. But I remember being the one always moving around in the chorus, And so one girl, she convinced me to go to her studio to take dance classes. So I went one time and I loved it. So then there happened to be an audition for Pebblebrook at Griffin Middle School. And after the audition, they said, "Come with us right now." So immediately they took me to the high school and introduced me to all the teachers. And I'll never forget, because my mom snuck into the audition. It was supposed to be a closed audition. And she was doing my audition, clapping and like singing along.
I love it.
And they said, "Ma'am, I'm sorry, this is a closed audition." She goes, "No, this is my baby." And so it just hasn't stopped. So I went to Pebblebrook High School. They taught me everything. My first real dance classes. First time I ever put on ballet slippers. First time I put on a dance belt, And it's just been moving. So I did, 4 years at Pebblebrook High School, Cobb County Center for Excellent Performing Arts.
Yes.
And what I realized is that a lot of those kids were training to be on Broadway. They trained us to be on Broadway stars.
Yes.
And at that time, I was, I guess, a little bit of a rebel because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to be on Broadway.
Interesting.
I wanted to be strictly dance. I wanted to be in a ballet company, a modern dance company. I wanted to go a different route. And a lot of them at that time hadn't gone that route. Most of them had been on Broadway. And so I ended up getting a full scholarship to University Arts.
I just had a student get in yesterday.
Oh, congratulations. Okay.
Yes.
And that was really interesting because, I really wasn't sure. I knew I loved to dance, but I wasn't, I didn't have a lot of the great technique. The training was amazing, but people always told me I didn't really have a natural facility. I wasn't very flexible. I didn't have really flexible feet. My arms weren't really straight. I have a lot of odds against me. And so I remember my mom was in the car one day, and it was time we were applying for schools, and she goes, "Well, I can't afford college. So if you don't get a full scholarship, you're gonna be stuck here with me. And I remember being devastated that night. So I just prayed and I kept working. And then sure enough, a couple weeks later, I got a full scholarship to the University of the Arts.
That's fantastic. What an amazing program. Oh, I know several graduates from UArts that are out here in Seattle, so that we're mutually friends with. So
oh, okay.
Yes.
So we'll talk about
Yes.
So they kicked my butt at UArts. They got me where I needed to be, and they kicked my butt. And I stopped singing, because I was like, okay, what I want to do, I want to be in a ballet company. I want to be an Alvin Ailey. I want to do this and this. So I started checking these things off my list. But along the way, it was tough because teachers were saying, you're not very flexible. Your feet don't point, all these things. So I was like, oh, gosh, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And sure enough, as soon as I graduated, I got into my first ballet dance company. It was called American Repertory Ballet. And that was a milestone for me because so many times I was like, I'll probably never be in a ballet company. And my very first job was a ballet company.
Amazing.
That was really cool. And then after that, I joined the Philadelphia Dance Company, also known as Philadanco.
Yeah.
So then I started to see my dreams come true, right? So that was cool. I'm in these dance companies. I'm living my dream. And then I'm on the East Coast and I'm like looking at all this snow on the ground. I'm like, I'm sick of this dirty ass snow.
Me too. Oh.
I'm sick of it. I'm saying if I have to slump around one more time, I've had enough, right? So then I was like, I'm gonna pack up everything and move to LA. I just packed up. I had $300 and I just packed up.
Preach. That's how I moved to New York.
And I had no idea. And I had two great aunts that I hadn't spoken to in years. And I said, hey, do you remember me? It's just, they call me, one of my aunts, she doesn't really know my name. She calls me Dominique. I said,
Wait just a minute. She doesn't know your name. So you just try to call Dominique. You're like, I don't care what you call me, just put me up for the night.
Exactly. So I said, hey, Aunt. I said, it's Justin or Dominique. I said, I'm packing everything up and I want to move to LA. I said, do you have a place that I could, a floor that I can lay on while I kind of figure things out? And they brought me over. They rented a car for me for a few weeks, and then things just started rolling. I started auditioning, getting gigs here and there, and fast forward, I had one audition that said, you need to come to Vegas. I said,
wait, let me ask you this. Did you have an agent when you were doing this in LA?
So I started I was calling it, not only did I call my aunt, I called every friend of a friend of a friend that I knew that had moved to LA. So I made 100 phone calls.
Yes, 100 phone calls, but one job. That's fine. That's good. You're good.
Exactly.
That's how you do it, people.
Every call I said, hello, hi, this is Justin. I'm coming to LA. What do I need to do? And everybody said, get an agent, take dance classes, get headshots, dance reel, and resume. So I started checking things off my list. And I just, okay, I don't have that. Help me do that. Okay, I can't help you, but this person over here can help you. So I just started making connections. And like I said—
That's how you do it, people. That's how you do it. Keep going.
And so I just stopped. I just called every day. Every day is a phone call. How can you help me do this? And I'll do this for you. But, let's put the pieces together so I can be as successful as possible in LA, right? With $300. No card, and sleeping on the floor. And so, of my aunt's apartment, they calls me Dominique. Don't forget that, So it kept going. So I went on this audition and they said, okay, well, this job is going to be in Las Vegas. I said, I don't want to move to Vegas. I'm loving LA, even though I'm on the floor, no car. But I'm liking, there's an energy here. There's no snow. There's something here that I'm really enjoying. They said, well, it might be a great connection. This is this guy named Frank Gatson Jr. I said, okay, let me do my research.
Did you know who Frank Gatson was?
Let me do my, but look, he just said the smart answer. Let me do my research. You keep talking.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's right.
So I just did my research and I said, oh, he's the guy that's responsible for Beyonce. You know, everybody knows Beyonce, right? Right. So I was like, oh, ladies, I know the entire single ladies dance. I mean, come on.
I know the entire.
So
Did you walk in and say that?
So I said, oh, I've got to meet this Frank Gatson. Okay, so let me go on this audition, da-da-da. Oh, and this is so weird. So I go into this audition, and he loved me. And I actually am wearing the shirt that I wore to that audition. Let me show you this shirt.
I am, yes.
Yes.
I am, and on the back it has my name. Can you see?
Yeah. Oh my God, I love you. Oh my gosh.
So I'm at this audition, and he was like, oh, I love your shirt. So, you know, then we just made that connection, and he hired me, and I moved to Vegas. Sure enough, the show happened. It was a show, they were revamping the show in Jubilee. Longest showgirl show running in Las Vegas. That didn't go so well. People didn't like the revamp, let's be honest. They didn't like it, they wanted
Right, we heard that, yeah.
And so I was ready, packing up, everything, going back to LA, and then I get a call from Cirque du Soleil. Hey, they said, we are looking for a guy to do Zumanity. I said, oh, great, for on-call Zumanity. I was like, oh, great. I didn't know that you couldn't hail taxis in Las Vegas. So the day of the audition, I'm looking for a cab, and I end up being an hour late for my audition. So I just knew they were done with me. I get another call. I said, okay, well, that didn't go so well. I get a call 2 days later saying, okay, maybe not Zumanity, but how about Michael Jackson 1? And I fell on the floor. I said, you guys are still interested in me? They said it was something about you, you know, and I could, you know, I don't know what it was. I don't know. I mean, I hit the step, I guess, but I think that I made a connection. I seemed personable. I said, thank you. I apologize for being late. And, you know, that's just not what I do. And I had my headshot in my resume. And so I joined Michael Jackson 1.
Wow.
And that was an incredible journey.
Wow.
It was the #1 show in Las Vegas.
And it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing. And they and there's so many acrobat jobs, and that show employs so many dancers.
Yes.
And I've been so pleased to see my friends like J-Rock and I mean, just Alex and JJ just having work. Work. Like JJ is not going to leave that show till he dies. His kneecaps could fall off, and he would duct tape them back on to walk back on that stage.
Yes, I love it. So that was incredible. I was there. I met these amazing dancers that I probably never would have met. The directors were incredible. Everything was perfect. It was perfect. Original Michael Jackson choreography. You can't beat it.
Oh my God! You can't beat it.
Look, I didn't even realize how. Look, that was great. That was good. Good catch.
That was corny as hell.
I didn't say I was sophisticated. You do this.
I love it. So it was great. It was great. And then me being an artist, I was like, okay, so what's next?
Right. We were just talking about that with Elizabeth. So I'll just tell you this real quick. Elizabeth Welch has been doing Phantom for 9 years. She's been covering Christine or playing Christine for 9 solid years. And she is a kid, and we were just talking about the difference, like the two types of people, where like some people are like, I need to be creatively challenged, I need to do this, or I have a goal of this. And then there's those people, and then there's people like Elizabeth who are like, you know what, I have a daughter and I have a job and I love this show, and I'm gonna sit right here and collect my paycheck and take care of and provide for my family.
Yes. So exactly. And that was part of so as I was having these thoughts about what's next, I was like, I don't really have anything tying me down. I don't have a family. I don't have a partner. Let's explore. And then I started to think about my high school experience, and I was like, I've never been on Broadway. everybody. I said everybody.
I've just never done that. I think I just need to go do that.
Why not? I'm still alive and kicking.
Exactly. I said, everybody that I went to public high school, they're all Broadway stars. I've never done that. How can I make this happen? So then I called Levi. I started calling people, doing my old LA 100 calls. What do I need for this next journey that I want to take?
You told me you were like, I'm going to quit MJOne, but nobody knows. And I was like,
everybody.
You got the highest paying job in probably all of America as a dancer, and you're just like, I'm just going to go be on Broadway. I thought you were crazy.
Well, everybody did. Everybody thought, and there's something about putting your dreams in the universe. You know what I mean? I kept saying it over and over again. I was like, I haven't done Broadway. I want to be on Broadway. I want to be on Broadway. And I kept saying it every day. And I had no idea. So I started auditioning. I got a new agent. I got new headshots, some body shots, you know. And I just started making phone calls. And I started, putting myself out there again. And then one of the auditions was Hamilton. On top of 50, I went on 50 auditions. Wow. My last year Michael Jackson won. And one job called me. And so it happened to be Hamilton. So the way that happened was I was at my last month at Cirque du Soleil. And they said, hey, we haven't found your replacement yet. Can you stay a little bit longer? I said, sure. I don't have another job set. I'm still auditioning. Yeah, whatever. And so the last day comes, October 17th, and I still don't have another job lined up. I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to do? I have nothing. I don't know. I saved a little bit of money, but we'll see what happens. 2 weeks later, Hamilton calls and said, we need you to be here on Broadway in a week.
That's how it happens.
Yeah. So it's an incredible journey.
Well, tell us about the audition for Hamilton, because every kid, every musical theater performer wants to be in Hamilton right now. So tell us what that process was like and what they need to do to prepare for that moment, because they get one moment. Kids, you get one chance, and if you screw it up, you got to walk in there and give them opening night.
Yeah, it's true. So I do this thing that I just bought this the other day. It's a picture that I found. It's called Study the Great and Become Greater. So to me, that's just about doing your research. So I was like, well, who choreographed Hamilton? Okay, Andy Blankenburg. Who are the directors? Who are these people that he likes? Oh, he loves Bob Fosse. I love Bob Fosse. So that's just always been part of my training. Study, research, practice, rehearse. And I learned that from Howard Brook. I learned that from the University of the Arts. I learned that, again, from being at Michael Jackson. When Michael Jackson is known for perfection. Bob Fosse is known for specific details and imperfection. So these people were striving for perfection, and I studied the greats. Not that I'm there, but I knew what the expectation was. So I auditioned for Hamilton the first time in February, and I got cut right away. First step. They said, thank you. And so I left. I moved on with my life.
You were like, football change. Thank you.
I got cut right away. Fast forward, I started, making those phone calls. I got a new agent, and they said, okay, that's an audition for Hamilton. I was like, oh, boy, they don't like me, but let's try it again. I auditioned again in May, and the associate choreographer was there. She was like, oh, you're great. And I said, oh, thank you. So I'm moving on. I had a call back here in New York, and I met the director, the choreographer, Andy, that cut me the first time in February. Don't tell anybody. I don't want him to know that he cut me. I don't think he remembers.
Just so you know, this is live. That's going on in the universe.
So I'm back here in June in New York for my callback, and Andy was like, where did you train? You're great. We haven't met before. He said, why haven't we met before? You're great. I said, oh, yeah. I was like, I trained in University of the Arts. He was like, oh, I have a friend there, I was like, he named his friend. I was like, oh, yeah, that was my teacher. I can't believe we haven't met before. Not telling him that, but he cut me.
And you're like, maybe remember this. Kickball change.
So, but in between those times, I had done my research, right? So I knew exactly what they were looking for. And they loved me. They thought, apparently I gave them exactly what he was looking for, and he loved my training. And then I started singing, and this is the first time I'm singing again since high school.
Sure.
So I was like, okay, I got to get a voice lesson. I need all these things. Right. So I go in there, I sing my one song that I've been using since I was at Pebblebrook.
What is the one song? Wait, what is it? What's the one song? Go, babe, go.
It's from Hercules. It's called I Can Go the Distance.
Yes. Okay, yes, word Disney.
I can go the distance.
That's right, I can. You can. Now let's go.
I used this song for the past 20 years,
I love it.
So I did that, and this June happened, and they called me for the boot camp. They flew me up to New York, and I did the Hamilton boot camp, which is like a glorified audition. They look at you a little bit more, you and 6 other people, teach you more of the show. After that, I didn't hear anything. It's now, fast forward to October 17th, my last day at Michael Jackson 1, Cirque du Soleil, and with no job. And 2 weeks later, they called me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Broadway wasn't like a dream for you. So like, what was it like to get that phone call? If somebody called me and said, "Oh, you're going to be in Hamilton," and I'd be on the floor, like crying like a bitch. But for you, what was that like? Did you have the same experience?
Well, yes, I did, because by that time it was a dream. It was on my, it was a goal. My bucket list, or whatever you want to call it, because I realized that that's something that I didn't realize that I wanted to do, Yeah. I looked up and I realized I hadn't done it, and I felt like, oh, that's something I really want to do. Why haven't I done this before? So, and I had no idea and they were casting for 5 other Hamiltons that's touring, you know what I mean? So me, the one person that got this one, was very slim to none.
Yeah.
So
but it wasn't though, because it was designed. It was designed. You knew it was for you.
You're like, why haven't I done this? Maybe it was, a little whisper in your ear.
Exactly. So I'm loving it. The cast is amazing. So it's really a dream come true. It really is.
So can you tell me how it works then with Hamilton, with like understudies and covers and ensemble and like the whole, I don't understand it. When I did The King and I 100 million years ago, and we had
Yul Brynner.
I don't know Yul Brynner, but I do.
I love it.
Yeah, but I've been there, and then we had like full-on dance company, just A-ly dancers.
Yes.
And, that's that whole world, and then we had like a very small group of singers where I call it balladeer row, where I'm moving in the back. So how does that work in Hamilton? Yeah.
Like how many dancers are in the show? How many strong singers are in the show?
And who covers and all of that stuff, and just the whole structure.
Honestly, you have 10 ensemble members, and about, I think, 10 or 11 leads. And this is the first show. You have to be strong in dancing, singing, and acting to do this show. You can't, this isn't really like, I can be an amazing singer and suck at dancing, or I can be an amazing dancer and suck at, you have to bring 100% to all 3, performance qualities here. So they're very specific on how they cast people. Mm-hmm. But I will say that, you asked about the swings. So the swings, they're just great. They're great. We had a few people out on vacation or injury leave, so we had 5 swings on today. So half of the ensemble cast was swings today.
So are those swings that are external swings that come in, or do you have internal swings? How does that whole,
Yeah, so we have both. Our external swings are called universal swings. So the universal swings can go and perform any Hamilton that they have built.
Okay.
which I think they have, I want to say, they have us, they have Chicago, they have the first two or three, so 4, and they have London. So 4 in the States and then plus London. So they have 5 Hamiltons right now. So the universal swings are external and they can go anywhere. We also have in-house swings. We have about, I want to say 8 in-house swings. Don't quote me on that number. I think 4 guys, 4 men, 4 women. And they just have to be ready to do any track at any time.
But so they cover the leads and the ensemble.
They cover they definitely cover all ensemble tracks, and there's a few that cover leads as well. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes total sense. And so what is it like now that you're doing this show, right? You're doing Hamilton, which has changed the face of Broadway. It's changed. It changed the voices within our country.
Yeah.
And we're not gonna get political in all of this, but what is it like to be a part of something that has changed history? It just all of a sudden in this one year, the most important year that it could have happened, it came out and it made a voice. What is the weight of that, and how do you relate to that?
It's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of responsibility in the best way possible. I get this question a lot because I think people are looking at Hamilton as an example of how to diversify, right? We have this 2 African-American men playing George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. You know what I mean? What is the word typecast? The word typecast doesn't even exist.
It's freaking brilliant. I mean, being that I am a person of color, where I definitely knew where my line was.
Yeah.
And I had to stay within those lines that I can tell my students. So I teach at a college now, it's a musical theater program, and I'm able to tell my students of color things are changing.
Yes. Anything is possible. Yeah. Anything is possible. And it's really after the Obama era, people are starting to see people of color are starting to see leadership examples that weren't heard of before. So it's at a time like this is so important. So people are coming back all the time I had no idea. A friend of mine said this really important thing to me, and because I asked him, I said, well, is it weird seeing a Black guy play George Washington or Thomas Jefferson? And he goes, the story is so incredible, I didn't even notice. Yeah.
Yes. You can't even imagine, that's music to my ears.
Yeah. So what that did for me was tell me, then why do we have typecasts? You know what I mean? Why can't, this person play this person or this person play this? It doesn't matter, So that was really, because if you're doing your job and the story is great, the work is going to speak for itself.
Yeah, that's true.
It takes a visionary to think outside of the box and accept a story that, though, and to retell it and say, I just want this to be about who I think is right for this. It takes, but we're so used to convention. We're so accustomed to that because it's just easier.
Yeah. Well, who wants easy? Nobody.
But a lot of people want easy. They want to say, hey, you look like that, so you should go do that, right? I mean, a lot of people want easy, and I just applaud the changes that are happening and that you're involved with such a beautiful and wonderful thing. Really.
Yeah, thank you. It feels great. I'm excited. I love it.
So I want to talk to you about some special things to you. I want to talk about, I think as performers, we all have had these moments on stage where we had an out-of-body experience, or it felt like that, or we had this moment that was just like, wow. And I was talking to Eric Jordan Young. I don't know if you know Eric. He's in Vegas, but he said it's that feeling that keeps us going back to work every day. It's that feeling. It's the search for that feeling that can never be sustained. It just happens in these moments that keeps the show fresh. Talk to me about like maybe some moments you've had where you were literally like had some experience that just you'll never forget while you were on stage performing.
So one example I have of a moment that's that sticks out for me like that's very real in the moment is there's one of the songs called Quiet Uptown. It's when Eliza loses her son, Philip.
Yes.
He and her and Alexander Hamilton, they lose her son. He was shot, and she cries every night. And both of them, they cry every night. And I don't have a child, but I remember losing my best friend a few years ago. And that for me feels like a really real moment. That for me feels like I can relate. And so in this moment, on a regular night, I'm crying just for a loss of a family member or a loss of a friend. So it just, that's something like I'm like, oh, I get it. In this moment, I feel her pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So things like that happen throughout the show. You know.
Talk to me about your first night in MJ, what that was like, your first show, and then talk to me about your first night in Hamilton.
Ooh, what was my first second? You know, it's really tricky with the first night. It's really, really tricky with the first night.
Because you're like flipping out and you're like,
you know, it's tricky because although you are very excited and it's a monumental moment in your life, you're very nervous. Mm-hmm. I remember for MJ being very, very, very nervous. But I want to say I was more excited at MJ because at MJ, they teach you little pieces of the show at a time. And so they'll say, okay, we'll put you in a third of the show tonight, and throughout time, we'll add you to more parts of the show. So versus at Hamilton, we're going to teach you the entire show, and opening night, you're on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so there was a little bit more pressure at Hamilton. So I remember being on edge the entire night. Like, did I do that right? Was that right? Okay. I know I practiced this, but people are watching. I have family in town. This is Broadway. This is Hamilton. Oh, so much pressure.
That is exactly what we're all doing, but this is what is happening out here.
Exactly. So then on stage, I'm like, Alexander Hamilton, you know, just calm and just, you know, making sure I'm hitting out. And then I go backstage and I'm like, ah! You know? So, and that happened throughout the entire night. And then the second night, I felt so much better. I'm like, okay, now I can enjoy this. Now let me pretend like this is my Broadway debut.
Yeah, first nights are always crazy.
You know, so it was really cool. It was really exciting, a little too exciting. It was a little stressful, but it was, you know, it was great. I had friends in the audience. It was great. It was really
so great. Well, listen, you have been just a joy to have.
Thank you.
I just adore you, and we're gonna come to New York soon, and when we do, we're gonna come see you.
Please
and, come see the show, and we'll have you back around here in our little neck of the woods again. Because you're just such an inspiration to me. I mean, really, you have no idea. Like you know.
Oh, thank you.
And so thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And
thank you so much.
You have a great second show, and thanks for taking the time in between shows.
Thank you so much for eating that cup of ramen for us. Sacrifice.
Y'all missed
Instant lunch.
He was like eating ramen before we started this interview.
I was like, that is a sacrifice, right?
Yes. I'm gonna run out and grab some real lunch right after this.
All right. Take care, Justin. Thank you.
Bye. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks again for watching Biz of Show Live with Levi Walker and Candice Donehoo. If you like what you see, please share the video. And of course, join our Facebook group, Biz of Show. Can't wait to see you inside.